I'm a slob? I'm a slob?
No, that's so mean.
disgusting.
That's what she sent you?
That's disgusting.
I was saying the situation.
Who's a slob? How am I a slob, though? How am I a slob?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 14, Episode 7. And before we get started, let me just say, Margaret Josephs, they could never make me hate you. Margaret packed Jackie Goldschneider right on up. That ending had me screaming. I watched this episode 3 times. That's how good it was. And Jackie, this is what happens when you play stupid games. You win stupid prizes. I just think it's hilarious that Jackie is going out sad and crashing out over Teresa, the same woman that you were beefing with for seasons. Y'all just got cool 5 minutes ago, and now you want to sit up here and turn on Margaret for no reason. And you can say what you want about Margaret, about how she's messy and this, that, and the third, and I'm not denying that. But one thing about Margaret was a good friend to Jackie. But a lot went down at the Gorgas housewarming party. And with all that being said, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up the episode right where we left off last week with the continuation of the sit-down conversation from hell between the Fudas and Teresa and Louis. So you guys already know John Fuda and Rachel got up and left. John Fuda ended it by saying, don't forget, Teresa, that you're the poster child for mortgage fraud. So Teresa says, well, that was my ex-husband, by the way, not me. And then she screams out that John Fuda is a loser and a drug dealer. So now she turns to Louis and she's like, well, that went well. Now, Teresa, I have asked you several times, why do you insist on acting as if you're this gangster? Because she said he's really effing with the wrong Teresa Giudice. I said, girl, what are you going to do? I'm just so tired of her acting like they should all be so afraid of her. I understand that, yes, you are the OG of this show. You are the only cast member who's been there since Season 1, Episode 1, and we give you your props and your flowers for that. You've given us some iconic TV, but what you won't sit up here and do, Teresa, is act like they should all be afraid. Now, Louis, what really blew me was you having so much to say after John and Rachel left. Where was all this mouth when John Fuda was there going back and forth with Teresa? You were quiet as a church mouse. Louis did not say one word during that whole conversation. So to hear him say, oh yeah, he has all these standards and he thinks that he's this big gangster, I'm just like, well, why didn't you check him when he was in front of your face? And even the Fudas clocked it because Rachel says as they're leaving, did you notice that Louis didn't say one word? He just sat there and let his wife bury herself. And I said, yeah, it was strange to me too. So the Fudas are gone, and mind you, remember that gift that Teresa and Louis have brought? That blue label that was for Melissa and Joe's housewarming? Well, the Fudas leave that behind. They've left it at the bar. They're both like, Joe and Melissa don't want that in their homes. Like, forget that. And it's sitting right there. So now we jump right back over to Teresa and Louis, still at the restaurant. They're still talking about what just went down. And Louis like, I can't believe that I even gave that guy 20 seconds of my time. I said, Louis, what are you even saying? You didn't even say one word when you guys sat down. And also, Louis, if I recall, weren't you the one who wanted this conversation between you and John? In Episode 1, you were saying that you want to have a sit-down conversation between you and John at a coffee shop. So Teresa says, did you notice how he didn't want to address the fact that he lied on you? I said, Teresa, what are you talking about? What lies did the Fudas say about Louis? I feel like Teresa is in heavy denial about all these reports coming out about Louis. She wants to blame somebody else and act as if they're lying on him when that's not the case. Everybody can't be lying on your man, sis. Your husband was out here moving crazy and it's been reported on, and now you want to sit up here and blame your castmates saying, oh yeah, they're lying on him, they're lying on him. No, they're not. So of course Louie's like, oh well, of course he does. He deflects about everything. He's a Tony Soprano wannabe, a wannabe gangster. I'm just like, okay, so what do you think you guys are? Teresa just 5 minutes ago was saying, you're effing with the wrong girl. You don't want to F with me. I'm Teresa Giudice. Like, you were just saying that. So it's okay when you want to play big and bad, but when somebody else does it, now they're a wannabe gangster. You're the same way too. So was that being a wannabe gangster, Teresa, when you flipped the table over in season 1? Was Louis being a wannabe gangster when he hired Bo Dietl to get dirt on everybody? And when he was going at it with Joe Gorga, calling him names, they're going back and forth? Was that being a wannabe gangster? I just don't like how the rules apply to everybody else except them. They're able to say and do whatever they want to, but when somebody else retaliates and gives them that same energy in return, now is you're a wannabe gangster, Tony Soprano. Like, what are we saying here? So now they get up to walk out the restaurant, and as they walk past the bar, they spot the bottle of Blue Label that they had given to the Fudas to give to Joe and Melissa. So Teresa's like, oh, what a shame. They left the Blue Label behind. They didn't want to bring that to their friend. So now Louis grabs the bottle, and as they're walking out, he says, John Fuda is just like your brother. They're both hotheads, and we all know that hotheads go nowhere. Now, Louis, I just think it's comical that you want to pretend that you're just so above it and that you're so love and light and they're both hotheads. You have a nasty temper just like them. And please believe that I have a bunch to say about this whole gift situation in regards to Teresa and Louis. If you told me it's F me for life, you don't fool with me, you don't like me, I don't want to receive a gift from you. And again, we'll talk more about that because I saw people on Twitter trying to drag Joe and Melissa for not being happy about the gift. But Teresa, you had to have known that after that blowout fight between you and the Fudas, that they would not be bringing your gift to give to Joe and Melissa. So we jump over to Dolores. Dolores has her mom and her daughter over, and she says that every Tuesday they have lunch together because her daughter Gabby has Tuesdays off. Now, we all know that Gabby is a doctor. She's a veterinarian because she loves animals. So now we find out that Frank's dog Lolly is really sick. I think they found a tumor, and so Lolly only has a few days to live, and Gabby's explaining that she has Lolly on all these medications just to make her comfortable, to prepare for the inevitable. So now Dolores' mom wants to know if Frank is still going through with his proposal to Brittany, even with the dog about to pass away. So Dolores says, oh yeah, it's still happening, but instead of it happening in Costa Rica, it's going to happen in a few weeks at their new house. So we find out that Frank built Brittany this gorgeous house, and Dolores says that it's on one of the nicest streets in Franklin Lakes. Now I just said, hold on, wait a minute. Let me find out that Frank was over there saving his money from when he was living with Dolores' ex-boyfriend David and was using all of his Bravo checks and his other money from wherever else to build this gorgeous house in Franklin Lakes. I said, all right, because Franklin Lakes is gorgeous. I have a family friend who lives in Franklin Lakes. Gorgeous, okay? So finding out that Frank has Franklin Lakes money, I said, well, okay. So since they're talking about Frank's proposal, Gabby looks at her mom and she's just like, okay, girl, like, so what about you? Dolores caught the shade immediately. Dolores says, listen, I've been married before. I had my kids. There's no rush over here. So now Dolores' mom jumps in and she clocks Dolores. And I said, please get your daughter again because your daughter is sitting up here hard-headed. And Dolores' mom says, look, girl, it's time for your man to get a divorce. It's been too long. It's enough already. It's been what, 13, 14 years? I said, yes, ma'am. I said, please tell your daughter again that this makes no sense. This whole situation is raggedy. And Dolores is too pretty for all this. She's letting Paulie play in her face. She is a willing participant in the foolery. Now Dolores reveals that Paulie wants to go into business with her, both her mother and her daughter looked at her like, girl, excuse me, come again? What are we saying here? And it was so funny because Dolores was really trying to sell the BS. She's going on and on about how it's going to be an electrical business and how Paulie's a contractor. Once again, Dolores' mom was like, okay, girl, and what's your point? Dolores continues on by saying that everybody knows that it's the highest form of flattery for a man to invite you into business with them. I said, oh, really? Is that so? Like, I said, Dolores, at your big age, you will not sit up here and try to sell us a dream. Stop. You're better off saying that you like the situation that you're in right now and call it a day versus sitting up here making excuses. And I loved how your mom and your daughter refused to co-sign on the BS because that's all this is. Paulie is wasting your time, but like I said, you are a willing participant in the foolery. This is just stupid. And it really makes me question how solid Paulie is financially, because why is he so eager to go into business with you but not marry you? It feels like a lot of these men get with these housewives and they pretend like they're doing so well, but in reality they're not, and they need their girlfriends who have some fame to help spring their careers and help them get some clout and get some money. Because if Paulie were doing so well, he wouldn't need to go into business with Dolores. I loved how Dolores' mom made it clear that they've been together now for about 2 years, and Dolores has every right to know about her future. So now Dolores shares in her confessional that Paulie still not being divorced doesn't concern her when it comes to them going into business together, because she can always take that with her if they do decide to break up. What concerns her is their relationship in general and how she's afraid of looking stupid. Now, I said, Dolores, I hate to break it to you, but with a man who is still legally married to his ex, they've been separated for what, 13, 14 years? You live with him. He's still stalling when it comes to an engagement and getting married. Well, getting a divorce first, but he's still playing in your face. I would say that you already look a bit dumb even dealing with this. And it's no shade, but I just have to be honest, sis. I like you and all, but this all looks very foolish. And what's the craziest part about this situation is that Paulie really has some nerve to think that he can just string you around. He should be worshiping the ground that you walk on. And I'll leave it at that. But Dolores, if I were you, I would not spend one more minute with Paulie. I think it's time to say shout out to everybody. I had fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun. I gotta be good.
This was cute, but it's time for a new man. So now we jump to the day of Melissa and Joe's housewarming party. And when I tell y'all, tens across the board. They did that. It's a limoncello theme. Everything is decorated beautifully. They have an attendant at the door to greet everybody with a Gorgas spritz, right? But when they showed that spread, I said, stop playing with me. Joe and Melissa, I'm going to need an invite like yesterday, because that spread was everything and then some. Baby, just know my mouth was watering. It's watering right now. I wanted to jump through that screen and make myself a plate. That food looked phenomenal. And then that pasta, I said, stop playing with me. I've told you guys, Italian food is my number one. Like, me and Italian food go like this. And Italian men too, okay? So if you know somebody who knows somebody, just let me know. So for all my Italian subscribers, holla at me, okay? I could be your sister-in-law, cousin, like, just let me know. But you have Joe talking about, oh, it might be a tequila night. Melissa was just like, it's a classy party, a classy housewarming, no tequila. limoncellos only, like none of that. But Melissa does share that everybody's coming. She says that Jackie's going to be there and Margaret. She knows that things are a bit icy between them right now, but she does hope that they can talk it out as friends. She doesn't want there to be any drama, right? She wants them all to have a good time. So now Joe brings up Jen Aiden. He's like, oh, is she coming? And Melissa says, yeah, you didn't see that she put us in that group chat? Her and Bill are coming. So now Melissa goes on to say, just be cool tonight. And Joe's just like, look, I don't have any ill will towards anybody. I'm going to be just fine. And I said, now, Melissa, here's my thing. If anybody should be cool, it should be Jen Aiden. He should not be the one feeling uncomfortable with anybody coming into his house. So now we flip over to Jen Aiden getting ready, and she's talking to Bill. And of course, she's a bit nervous because her and Melissa just got back cool, but her and Joe Gorga don't talk. So she goes on to say that she's curious to see how long is it going to take Joe Gorga to come up to her and welcome her. And I just said, sis, if you're that worried about it, then why are you going? Because I'll be damned if I go to your house and I'm worrying about, are you going to talk to me or not? If I have all this anxiety about going, then I'm going to stay home. And Jen, I'm going to be honest, it low-key feels like you have a crush on Joe Gorga, because I feel like his name is always in your mouth. You're always trying to throw shade at him in every confessional. You did it several times throughout this episode. I feel like you're very pressed about Joe Gorga for some odd reason. It's weird. And like I said, if you feel this strongly about him, then why even go to the housewarming party in the first place? I just find it really interesting that on one hand, she can't stand him, but then she's saying in the next breath, oh, well, I wonder how long it's going to take for him to say hello to me and say hi and welcome me into his house. Girl, do you want to talk to him and be cordial or not? I just don't understand it. So now Bill interrupts and he's like, how does Teresa feel about you going tonight? So Jen's like, oh, I mean, she's cool about it. She just told me, don't bring my name up. Now, like I stated in my last recap, I don't believe for a minute that Jen Aiden trying to be friends with both Teresa and Melissa is going to work out well. I think that that's going to blow up in her face. I think in a situation like this, where things are so heated between both parties, I really don't see how this can work where you're playing both sides and trying to be neutral. We know how Teresa is. Teresa is very much, if you're my friend, you have to be on my side and hate who I hate. So now Jen brings up the whole Danielle drama, how Danielle had confronted her at the bougie brunch party about why did they allow Lena to talk all this stuff about her behind her back. She proceeds to say that she likes Danielle, but she doesn't like Danielle's elitist and entitled personality. I said, wait, stop the track. Because Miss Mamas, I know that you of all people are not out here talking about elitist and entitled. Jen, that's you. Remember when Jen first got on this show? Do you remember how Jen used to brag in every episode? Jen was always name dropping, bragging about what she had, how Bill let her spend whatever she wanted to, and this, that, and the third. She had just bought this new truck. She loves Chanel, and how she always pays for all this for people. Jen was always flexing and flashing her money around. And let's not forget how Margaret checked her early on about how Jen was a braggart. So Jen Aiden goes on to say that when she sees Danielle tonight, she's going to pull her to the side and check her about it. And she says, I mean, I love somebody who has ambition and wants to get to the top, but don't treat people like shit on your way to the top, because people remember that, and God has a funny way of humbling people. And I said, now Jen, I hope you realize that that also applies to you too. So we're back at the housewarming, and Danielle and Nate are the first to arrive. So we have Melissa giving them a tour, and Danielle definitely did compliment Melissa on the house, as she should, but I did find the choice of words a bit interesting. There was a point where Danielle was like, I mean, it's really pretty, but it's also really cozy. And I said, now, hold on, sis. I'm not saying that you meant it to be shady, but I think that that's an interesting choice of words because I would not refer to any part of their house as cozy. Cozy is generally said if the house or the apartment is small and you're trying to compliment it by saying, oh yeah, it's nice and cozy. There's nothing cozy about the Gorgas' new home. That home is huge. It's beautiful, beautifully done, stunning. They did that. I'll say this. I think that everybody on this cast has gorgeous homes. I like Teresa's home. I like the Gorgas' home. Danielle's house is pretty. The Fuda's house is pretty. Dolores' house is pretty. I mean, even though she's now with Paulie in the townhouse, his townhouse is pretty. I mean, yeah, everybody on this cast have very lovely homes. Margaret's home is nice. Everybody gets an A for the homes on this franchise, okay? Because there are a few franchises where I feel like, okay, I don't love everybody's home, but on Jersey, I think that everybody has a lovely home. So now we see everybody arriving. We see Margaret with her mother Marge Sr. and her husband Joe. And now the Fudas arrive. And baby, the minute Rachel got in the door, she makes a beeline to Melissa. And she's just like, girl, you won't believe what happened. Me and John met up with Teresa and Louie to have a sit down and clear the air. Things went left. We were only there for a total of 9 minutes, and Louie barely said a word. So now she goes on to reveal that Teresa and Louie had actually brought a gift for them to take over to the housewarming for Melissa and Joe. And Melissa was shocked. She's like, wait, what? Rachel says, yeah, girl. She was just like, here's a bottle of Blue Label for my brother. Melissa is still shocked, and Rachel says, yeah, me and John left it there at the restaurant. We both looked at that and said, no, we're not bringing that. Melissa and Joe don't want that. So now Melissa says, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you did that because I don't want that in my house either. Then she goes on to say that the bottle probably has an air tag on it, it's probably bugged, and she wants no parts of having any of that in her home, and I understand that. Now, I've told you guys time and time again, I'm West Indian, so there are just certain things that I'm just not with. When it comes to allowing any and everybody in your home, absolutely not. I'm also not a fan of accepting gifts from everybody either, because everybody does not mean you well. And if I know that somebody has some ill will towards me or jealousy or hate, any type of that, and they give me a gift, I'm not bringing that into my home. So I completely understand where Melissa was coming from about, oh no, I don't want that in my home. And for anybody who wants to act obtuse about, oh, they're just being dramatic, Melissa and Joe just wanted a moment, that might be so, but at the end of the day, it's their home, and they have every right to accept or reject whatever gifts or people come inside of their home. Period, point blank. And then to Melissa's other point about this makes no sense because you told us last year at the reunion you never want to see us again, you don't like us, we're dead to you, but now you want to give us a gift for our new house? Like, what are we saying here? If you really do want to make amends and let's move past this, then let's actually do this in a real way. I thought the timing of everything was hilarious because Dolores and Paulie arrived, and as they're walking up, I was like, wait a second, I know that that's not the same bottle of Blue Label that Teresa and Louie gave for the Fudas to give to the Gorgas. And sure enough, that is the same bottle. So Dolores and Paulie walk into the house. They're like, oh my gosh, everything looks beautiful. And Melissa and Rachel are both looking at her like, wait a second, is that the same bottle from Teresa and Louie? Like, I know it's not. And Dolores says, yes, it is. Look, as a friend, it's not my place to ask any questions, but she gave it to me to give to you guys, and here it is. Now, Teresa, why are you so adamant that they received this gift from you? Because I wouldn't be sending a gift to somebody that I said was dead to me and I never want to see them again. I was thinking at one point, Teresa, you and Louie should have just shown up at this point because you guys were pressed to get that bottle to them. And if I were Dolores, I would have said, Teresa, I'm not really trying to be in the middle of your family drama. If you want that bottle to be delivered to them, you might want to bring it to them yourself. So now we cut away to Teresa at home. She's making dinner. I think she was making meatballs, and my mouth was watering because we know that Teresa can cook really well. So anyhow, she's talking about how she wants to teach Gia how to make meatballs because Gia is looking to move out on her own, but she wants to move in with her boyfriend, Christian. So Teresa says, I mean, I get that. She's an adult now. She can do what she wants, but I would advise that her being a young woman, she should live on her own before living with a man. And I agree. I'm like, Gia, you have the rest of your life to be married and be living with a man. Why don't you want to spend your 20s or maybe even early 30s living on your own? There is no better feeling than having your own place, especially as a woman. I think that every woman should live on her own at least once. It is a blessing and you need that time. And I was just like, yeah, Gia, I would not be rushing to live with a boyfriend. And personally speaking, this is just a me thing. No judgment to anybody who lives with a man. That's great. But it's never appealed to me to live with somebody before I get married. Like for me personally, I don't want to live with anybody until I'm married. Like, honestly, I don't know. I don't see the appeal in that. I know people say, oh, well, you never truly know what somebody's like. I get that. But yeah, for me, I don't want to live with you before we're married. Like, no, thank you. I don't. I really enjoy my space, you know. But I said, yeah, Gia, you're 22, 23, like live your life, have fun. But Teresa goes on to say that she wants all of her girls to experience what she wasn't able to experience because before she got married to Joe, she was living with her parents. She says that she wasn't allowed to live on her own. And I'm thinking, wow, like that sucks. Again, Gia, do it for your mom. Live by yourself. Don't worry about living with your boyfriend. You can go over and visit him on the weekends, like, you know, have a cute sleepover, but you don't need to be living with somebody, especially not at that age. It's just, girl, enjoy that time to yourself. Again, just my 2 cents. So now Gia comes in the kitchen. They're talking about her wanting to live with Christian. And now the conversation weirdly turns into the drama in the group. Teresa had mentioned that the oven mitts that she had on were from Danielle. It was a wedding gift. So she's like, oh yeah, Danielle got me these. And it's just really funny now because Danielle is now hanging out with people that I'm not too fond of. And I'm just like, girl, how do we even go from Gia living with her boyfriend to all this drama with Danielle? And why are you even talking about this with Gia and your stepson? Why do they need to be involved in this stupid drama with you guys? Like, leave them out of this. So Gia jumps in and she's like, well, Mom, as long as Danielle isn't talking crap or playing both sides, then it's whatever. And I just said, Gia has always been way too involved in all the drama with her mom since she was little. Gia was 9 or 10 years old, wrapped up in this mess. That's why she can't stand her aunt and uncle now. I don't know. I just didn't like all that. I felt like, can't we just have a nice family scene? Why do you have to involve your kids in this drama? And Teresa says, yeah, I understand, but I don't want anybody to muddy the waters because that's what usually happens. Then she says, yeah, like John Fugazi. And then she brings up how the Fudas didn't bring over the bottle of Blue Label to give to Joe and Melissa. So now you have Louis talking about, oh yeah, and watch how John runs over to be a bitch boy for your brother. And I said, why are we having this kind of conversation in front of your kids? And yes, I know, they're both adults. I think Louis' son is like 21, Gia's 22, 23, but still, they don't need to be involved in this drama between you guys. That wasn't necessary at all. And Louis, you pride yourself on being this big gentleman, so this is the example that you want to leave for your son? He's watching you call your brother-in-law a bitch boy? Like, what was the point of that? I don't know. Again, I didn't like that. They could have kept that out. They could have at least waited until Gia and Louis' son had left the room. That did not have to be a conversation to involve them in. So back at the housewarming, we see all the husbands outside, and Margaret, Rachel Fuda, and Dolores also walk down to join them. And Dolores gives Joe Gorga the bottle of Blue Label. And of course, John Fuda has to make it known that he knows exactly what that bottle is and whose gift it is. So he's like, oh wait, how did that bottle get here? Me and Rachel left that. So Dolores makes it known that her and Paulie got a call an hour ago. Teresa and Louis called them up and asked if they would bring the bottle over for Joe. So Dolores goes on to say, well, I think that it's a nice gesture. And by the way, your dad used to drink Blue Label. So baby, the minute she mentioned their dad, Joe goes off. He says, do you think that she's respecting our dad? And again, I saw folks clowning Joe on Twitter saying, oh, he just wanted his moment. And he definitely did. I will never deny that, because Joe, he lives to have a moment of his own. But I understood where he was coming from, because it's like, for you to say that you hate me and you never want to see me again, but now you're insisting that everybody brings this gift from you over to my brand new house. This doesn't add up. And like I told you guys, I don't want any gift with any ill intentions. So that bottle of Blue Label would have been sent right back, or I would have just dumped it out in the trash, but it would not have been in my home. But Joe Gorga goes on this rant about how he opened up his heart to Louis and how Louis screwed him over, but he still forgave him. So Joe Gorga definitely gave us a performance, because they hand him the card from Teresa and he throws it into the fire pit. I just said, Joe, child, it was too predictable. Like, I already knew where this was going. I even rolled my eyes just a little bit. I said, okay, Joe, I get it. You don't like your sister, but you could have at least put the card in your back pocket. It just felt too contrived, you throwing it into the flames, like, and watching it burn up. I said, okay, sir. So while that's going on, the Aidens arrive. And did anybody catch that slick comment that Jen made when she got to the door? She said, oh, we always have valet parking at our parties. I said, girl, you just can't help yourself. Already coming in with shade. Just say that their house looks gorgeous and the party is nice. That's another reason why I just don't believe in being too quick to have folks in your home. Jen Aiden has such a nasty spirit, because why would you say that? What happened to the house is gorgeous, I'm just happy to be here? Now, mind you, they have a cutout with Joe Gorga's face on it. So as Jen and Bill pass by it, of course, Jen Aiden has to throw some more shade, and she says, oh, this has to be the only time that Joe Gorga has ever been taller than me. I said, Jen, do me and everybody else a favor and just admit that you have a crush on Joe Gorga. Something about Joe Gorga just really gets the juices flowing, doesn't it? Because Miss Mamas, you really have a heart on for insulting him. It's weird. You really go out of your way to say something shady about him. It's strange. I really think that you have a crush on him. And if you do, girl, it's okay. And I met Joe Gorga in person. He's very charismatic. Like, I get the appeal. Is that the real reason why you don't like Melissa? Because you low-key like her man? Is that what it is, girl? Is that what it is? Like, I'm just now putting the pieces together. I don't know, but I said, girl, all this shade towards him every time you see him or are around him, it's a lot. So now Jackie and Evan arrive, and Melissa says that she loves Jackie. Even though Jackie got into it with her at the bougie brunch the other day, she does love Jackie a lot. And of course, she wasn't going to exclude her from this event. Then she says, Lord knows I can't go another day hearing Jackie whine and cry about not being invited to something. Baby, when production played that flashback of all the times Jackie was crying about somebody not inviting her somewhere, I said, oh my gosh, Jackie really has a problem. And Jackie, I'm going to lay into you later on, but I said, Miss Mamas, you're a very insecure woman. And I really feel like Jackie is still stuck in high school because remember, Jackie said that growing up, she wasn't the cool girl, she wasn't popular. So I really think that deep down inside, mentally, Jackie is still that 16-year-old girl who wasn't cool, nobody wanted to hang out with her, and that's why her not being invited to stuff really triggers her so badly to the point where she's crying and having a panic attack because she's not there. So everybody's mingling, having fun, and now we see Melissa, Dolores, Jen Aiden, and Rachel Fuda having a conversation. And Melissa says, Rachel, did you tell the girls about your sit down with Teresa and Louie the other day? So Dolores jumps in and she says, yeah, when I was over there, Teresa told me that somebody had said something to her about she's the poster child of mortgage fraud. Like, why would you say that? So Rachel says, yeah, that was said, and John was the one who said it. So now Dolores says, well, I don't know why that response was warranted. Like, why would you guys say that? And Rachel says, girl, let me stop you right there. Because when she made that comment about Jaden's mother, knowing good and damn well that I'm his mother, that sent me over the edge. And if anybody said that, I would really punch them in the face. So now Dolores has to admit that Teresa was wrong. And she says, you know what? I agree. I'm not even going to defend that. I get it. So now you have Jen Aiden jumping in to defend Teresa, and she says, honestly though, if you guys had just accepted her apology, things could have just been squared away and you guys could have all moved on. Now, as they're talking, Jackie's off to the side with Jen Fessler, and she's watching the whole entire thing. So she whispers to Jen Fessler, I've just never seen anybody hate somebody so much in regards to Rachel not liking Teresa. So then she goes on to add that Melissa and Margaret are in her ear. And I said, hold on, Jackie, the nerve. Because the way you hated Teresa for several seasons, you were calling Teresa everything but a child of God. Teresa couldn't stand you either. Teresa hated you. Teresa loathed you. Every time you guys were in the same room together, she was on your ass because you would not apologize to her. So how dare you say, oh, I've never seen anybody hate somebody so bad? Girl, shut up. Like I said in the last recap, it's jarring and it's pathetic to watch you do a complete 180 over a woman that you couldn't stand for several years. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to move on and try to forgive somebody. That's great. But what you won't do is try to rewrite history. So now Jackie interjects and she says, honestly, I feel like you have Melissa and Margaret in your ears. And since they're your best friends now, I see why things went left. So now Rachel says, well, if that were true, I wouldn't have even gone at all. So now Jackie says, it just seems like your husband, John, had no interest in trying to hear Louie out anyway. And I said, Jackie, shut up. You weren't there. Also, sis, I had no idea that you liked Louie so much because I remember last season's after show, you were calling out Louie for buying Teresa's daughter's fake Cartier. Remember that? So now all of a sudden you're Louie's biggest fan? You were shading him left and right, saying that he was a fraud and a con man and Teresa better watch out. Now all of a sudden it's, well, I don't think that you ever wanted to make things right and hear Louie out anyway. What? How quickly people change. And of course, we see the husbands talking about this as well. And John Food is telling them what went down when he had the conversation with Teresa and Louie. Now I said, look, y'all are at a party. It's time to have some fun. I'm getting sick and tired of a lot of these events being overshadowed with drama. I get that. The show is about drama and shade. But at some point, we have to put that to the side and just have a little bit of fun. Like, it can't always be all this strife and stress. Like, enough. And I was so happy when we flipped back to the women Even Melissa said, you know what, guys, let's stop with all this. Let's all have some fun. Let's grab a drink. Like, I put way too much into this party for it to be only about mess and drama, about people who aren't even here. That's what really kills me about this whole thing. I can see if the drama is with people who are actually there, but when you guys are all talking about somebody who's not there, what does that say? You're giving Teresa and Louis too much power, because I'll be damned if I've spent all this money to talk about people who weren't even invited. I'm not doing that. And that's how I know that deep down inside, both parties still want to be around each other, because the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. When you're indifferent, you no longer care. You're not mad, you're not hurt, you're not upset about anything. You have officially taken your hands off of the situation and you are at peace. That's what you should strive for. Because when you hate somebody, it shows that you still care about them. When you're indifferent, that's when you've won. So it'll really show me that they have truly moved on from each other on both sides when they are indifferent. But they're always talking about each other, so it shows that there's still some feelings there. Just when I think that the rest of the party is going to go smoothly, child, it does not. Because now we see Margaret at the bar, and Dolores walks up to her and she tells Margaret what was said when Jackie and them were outside. And she's like, oh, Jackie was out there saying that you and Melissa are in Rachel's ear. So Margaret is already pissed, and she's like, wait, what? So she says, you know what, Dolores, let me just walk over to Jackie and confront her myself. Baby, Margaret taps Jackie on the shoulder and she says, now what was said? You're out here saying that me and Melissa are in Rachel's ear? That's not true and you know it. So Jackie's defending her statement and she says, well, I feel like that's true. And now Melissa jumps in and she says, but Jackie, I consider you a very good friend, and you're now friends with Teresa, and I'm not upset. So instead of Jackie just saying, you know what, Melissa, you're right, she now tries to double down on it, and she says, no, Melissa, because the other day at Danielle's bougie brunch, you tried to make it a problem. Now, I said, Jackie, you know good and damn well that that's not what happened, but okay, since you now want to be up Teresa's ass, you just want to spin things. So Melissa says, no, girl, it's even in your book. So we find out from Melissa that in Jackie's book, Jackie wrote how Teresa made her relapse. I said, wait, what? I said, my God. So that's what really makes this whole thing disturbing, with Jackie having this newfound loyalty to somebody who she claims made her relapse. If I'm accusing somebody of causing me to relapse, I would not be out here trying to be their friend. I said, Jackie, you are looking sorrier as the episode goes on, because baby, what is going on in your brain right now? This is some real weirdo behavior. And then when you said, well, the book's not out yet, I said, what kind of argument is that? And I love how Margaret said, well, it's about to be out soon. Jackie, do you hear yourself right now? You're saying that Teresa caused you to relapse, but now you want to be her best friend? Like, what are we doing? And I really wonder how Teresa feels knowing that Jackie's blaming her for her relapse. I don't know. I said, Jackie, you're pathetic. I have secondhand embarrassment, because this is not even funny that you now are turning on your good friends for somebody that you could not stand for years. And Teresa could not stand you either. You guys had a mutual hate for each other, and now for you to do a complete flip, it's sick. Melissa was me in the moment. She said, you know what? I'm getting a drink. I'm going to enjoy my party. You guys have fun. And now Margaret and Jackie go at it. And Margaret says, look, Jackie, I have been nothing but good to you. I've had your back. I've been your friend throughout it all. And for you to do this to me. So Jackie's like, no, you haven't. You've insinuated that all my success is because of you, even my book deal. And Margaret's like, no, I haven't. What are you saying? Margaret cleared that up real fast. She said, are you serious right now? She said, all I said was, I'm hurt that you did not send me a book. That's it, that's all. So now Margaret calls Jackie defensive, and Jackie claps back by saying, you're just mad that I'm friends with Teresa now, but too bad. I said, you know what? Jackie, if you want to live in your delusion, then feel free. But for you to sit up here and do this to Margaret, and for everybody who hates Margaret, you cannot deny that at the end of the day, Margaret was a good friend to Jackie. However you feel about Margaret, she really did have Jackie's back. And if I were Margaret, I would never speak to Jackie again. Now, Jackie thought that she ate when she walked away. She's like, I don't need this. I'm walking away. I said, girl, okay, we don't even want to see you on our screens anymore. So please. Margaret was livid because she walks over to Dolores and Jen Fessler, and she's like, I just can't believe that girl. She's something else. I was trying not to be a bitch. But Dolores, do you know that she was really angry at you when you forgot to tag her in that picture on Instagram after your baseball game? And Dolores is like, wait, what? She was angry? It was an accident. So Margaret says, yeah, girl, she was so angry about it, I had to talk her off the ledge. Now, we all know how insecure Jackie is, so I believe every single word. The fact that Jackie has a fit if somebody doesn't even invite her for ice cream, you know good and well that she was spiraling over Dolores not tagging her in that picture. Now, I did think it was weird when Jackie walked over to Margaret's husband, Joe, and she gave him a hug. I was just like, wait, you just got into it with Margaret, but now you want to hug her husband? Like, what's the reason for that? So Margaret saw it. She said, oh no, you will not hug my husband, not after how you did me. So Margaret walks over there and she's like, Joe, do not acknowledge her. And Jackie's standing right there. I said, get her again. I said, I'm here for it. I said, me and Margaret are the same amount of petty. So now we have some more drama over by the bar because Danielle and Jen Aiden talk. So Danielle's like, Jen, are you and I good? And Jen Aiden says, are you sure you want to talk about this right now? And Danielle says, yeah, girl, we could talk about it anywhere. I don't care. But like, what's tea between you and I? Because things have been kind of weird. So Jen Aiden says, look, at your bougie brunch, you brought up how me and Teresa didn't stick up for you when Lena was talking crap about you. If I had agreed with what you did, I would have stuck up for you, but I didn't. So that's why I didn't say anything. So of course, Danielle's not feeling that. She's like, wait, so you agree about somebody else talking shit about me? And Jen says, look, Danielle, I did not agree with your behavior. You saying, who is she to be sitting with us? I didn't like that. Then she goes on to lecture Danielle, saying that being a true success doesn't mean that you push other people down. So Danielle's like, I'm so confused right now. What are you even talking about? I said, can we just have a good time at this housewarming, please? So now Danielle's making excuses. She says, you're talking about somebody who blew my hair out one time. I don't even know her from a hole in the wall. And I said, now the story keeps changing, Danielle, because I could have sworn that that was your friend. Now all of a sudden it went from friend to you just met her one time. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like Danielle is trying to save face because she's embarrassed that Jen Aiden is calling her out for her poor behavior. So now Danielle gives us the real story in her confessional, and she says last year she was tapped to host a charity event for kids with cancer, and she had Teresa, Dolores, and Jen Aiden join her, and so there was a VIP area just for them to make sure that they had some space from the fans. So she goes on to say that the fans infiltrated the VIP space, including Lena, and things got too crowded that she called security and said, please let them all out, including Lena, only because it was a safety issue. That's it, that's all. So now Jen Aiden also reveals that she was upset about the whole Laura thing. And we remember Laura, she was Margaret's ex-best friend who was trying to get on the show. And she fell out with Margaret because Margaret tried to get her on the show, but Bravo passed on her. So then she became resentful, and that's why she broke off friendship with Margaret. Isn't that crazy? It shows you how so many people want to be famous. So Jen was mad that Danielle didn't want Laura there. So Danielle's like, wait, you're mad that I did not want Laura there? Laura caused all that division and drama in the group last season by bringing up the rumors about Melissa cheating on Joe last season. So that's who you wanted there? So Jen Aiden really gets nasty, and she says, I just feel like we did a lot for you, and there could have been some more consideration. So now we find out that Jen is angry that on the step and repeat, they didn't have Bill's Plastic Surgery Center on there. I said, oh my gosh. I said, girl. I said, but Danielle, when you ask people for favors and to lend their name and their face to your event, you do have to offer a little give and take. I do feel like it's standard practice where if a friend does a favor for you, if they have a business, you do promote the business at the event. So I understand where Jen Aiden was coming from. I get it. And especially if the Aidens made a large donation, I could definitely see why she's annoyed. Like, okay, you know, we did all that. We wrote a big check and you couldn't even do me a solid and promote my husband's business on a step and repeat. I get it. Danielle was not ready for all that. She's like, are you kidding me? I did so much for you. I made sure that you guys were fed well, and I had the private car service come and pick you guys up and take you home. And Jen Aiden said, honey, stop it. I do these things in my sleep. All those things were comped. That was not out of your pocket. So now Danielle says, oh no, I paid for it all. And Jen Aiden said, girl, stop it. It was all comped. And I said, now, Danielle, it's no shade, sis, but I highly doubt that you paid for the car service and the food out of your own pocket. Something tells me that that's a lie. And Jen Aiden clocked you several times. She said, no, girl, it was all comped. Jen Aiden said, girl, I might be a lot of things, but I've been a rich stay-at-home mom and wife for over 15 years. I know a little something about something, and you will not sit up here and try to trick me. I know how the game goes. So Jen goes on to say that when she throws parties, she's not looking to pay herself back. Whatever money she makes goes to the people who need the money. I said, ooh, again, Danielle was gagged. And y'all know that I do not like Jen Aiden at all, but when she's right, she's right. And honey, she had Danielle too stunned to speak. So now Danielle says, honestly, Jen, if I drop the ball in any way, I'm very sorry. Then she goes on to say, look, in the future, if you have an issue with me, please don't let things fester. Just tell me immediately. So now we see Jackie walk right on over to Dolores. And Jackie, you were better off staying your behind right next to Jen Fessler, because the way Dolores and Margaret in the background ate you right on up, honey. This was a TKO. So Jackie's looking for sympathy and she's like, oh my gosh, Dolores, why does Margaret go so low? So Dolores says, girl, I don't care about all that. Margaret told me that you were upset with me because I didn't tag you in that Instagram picture after the baseball game. So Jackie says, I mean, yeah, I was upset. And we know that when Dolores gets pissed off, she's not here for the BS. So she's like, well, Jackie, that's ridiculous. Next time, just call me. So Jackie, here's where things went wrong. Jackie makes the fatal mistake of lying. She says, well, Dolores, I just want you to know that I don't talk shit about you. So right when she said that, Margaret is right behind her with Joe. And Margaret's like, oh, hold on. Margaret is pulling out the screenshot of when Jackie was shit talking Dolores right after the game. So she sends Dolores the screenshot, and I was screaming because Joe motioned for Dolores to check her phone.
I just sent the screenshot of what Jackie said about Dolores. Tell her to check her phone.
Hey, I'm sorry. I said it's Dolores.
So while Jackie's going on, Dolores says, oh, hold on a minute. I'm just getting an update about my dog. So she's looking at the screenshot that Margaret sent her, and we see it's a conversation between Jackie and Margaret right after the game, and Jackie is whining and going off about how Dolores purposely didn't tag her and Evan in the picture after the game, and then she says, I effing hate her, she's such a slob. I'm like, you're calling Dolores a slob because she forgot to tag you on Instagram? Are you serious? Dolores had me on the floor. When she turned that phone around, she said, I'm a slob? I'm a slob? Really, Jackie? Jackie was gagged. Baby, Jackie couldn't even get the words out good. I said, this is a mess. Jackie's like, no, oh my gosh, that's so mean. That's what she sent you? So Dolores is like, this is disgusting. This is disgusting. A slob? Really? Jackie was so tongue-tied. She's sitting there tripping over her words. She's like, no, I didn't mean you. I just meant the situation. I meant that the situation was sloppy. That's all I meant. But I do apologize. And Jackie, if I were Dolores, the way I would have read you for filth right then and there, I would have read you down so badly that you would never want to be in the same room with me again. The audacity and the gall for you to call anybody sloppy. And Dolores Catania, as pretty as Dolores is, Dolores always looks good. So for you to call her a slob, I was just confused. Like, of all the things to say, why would you call her a slob? And Dolores said, where I'm from, when you call somebody a slob, like, those are fighting words. Because when I think of a slob, there's a mental image that you have of somebody who is slovenly, right? When I think of a slob, I don't think of Dolores Catania by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just like, you're calling her a slob. And then to say that you effing hate her in that text message too? Girl, you need help. Because for that to have you spiraling so badly, it shows that something's not quite right up here. And that's no shade, sis, but you need to be in therapy. I felt no ways about Margaret low-key tearing Jackie's ass up silently. I loved every minute of it. I had to rewatch that scene several times. I was screaming. That was perfectly done. I said, I know that's right. Dolores was really trying to keep calm. I could tell that Dolores really wanted to curse Jackie out. She was just trying to restrain herself and not show her ass at Melissa and Joe's house. But she says, I've never talked about you like that ever, just so you know. So now Jackie's making excuses, and she's like, but you should hear the things that Margaret says about you and Paul's relationship. She says such horrendous things. Dolores said, look, girl, that might be so, but Margaret is smarter than you are because she's never put it in writing. You have. Here it is, you're calling me a slob via text message, but whatever Margaret is saying behind my back, you can't verify it. I said the way Dolores just called you an idiot in the classiest way, that was perfection. I said, ooh. I said, Jackie, you look like a true loser, and you're going out sad. And again, the jokes really write themselves for Jackie, of all people, to call anybody, especially Dolores, a slob. Dolores says she's calling me a slob when she's a hot mess every single day, crying and whining about something.
I'm gonna just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
Jackie is a chronic complainer, whiner, crier. That woman gets triggered by every single thing. So the gall for her to call anybody a slob. I said, child, Jackie, you deserved every bit of that tongue lashing that Dolores gave you. And Dolores was real calm with it too. She says, Jackie, this is not the first time that I heard that you've talked about me, and right now I need a few minutes. Please leave me alone, like go away. Jackie literally was walking out like somebody had whooped her ass, literally. That's how bad Jackie looked walking out that kitchen. I said, a hot damn mess. But we hear Margaret saying that it's over between her and Jackie, and that's where the episode ends. When I tell y'all, this episode gave me everything I needed. Jackie, this solidified for me. This needs to be your last season. I don't need to see you come back in any capacity, not as a friend of, damn sure not as a full-time cast member, but I don't need to see you come back ever. And once again, Bravo, do the right thing, reconsider, and give us a reunion because we deserve, especially since we're not even getting a cast trip. But y'all, that was my recap. Thank you so much for watching. For all my podcast listeners, thank you all so much for listening. I hope you all enjoy, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.